Hi and welcome. So, if you are new and this is your first time watching this template, you should go to one of my other videos where it introduces this template. This is the small business template. This is not the introduction to the template. However, I am just going into a little bit more in-depth detail to how to use this template in this video. So, looking at your monthly dashboard, uh, you do want to put your income as negative amounts. Put a minus in front of your income. Expenses should all be normal plus positive amounts, but your income should be as a minus. And there's a little reminder of that here at the top as well. Okay, so in the previous video, I did explain that you can just copy a CSV file over and copy it into this three little columns. Like just adjust the CSV file on a different spreadsheet until you only have these three columns that you need and just copy it over in here. Do not copy over the category section, and then once you have this all copied in from your bank, you just start categorizing from here. Now, a few things that I need you to note if you're using the invoice system. Let's say, for example, I'm not using the invoice system of this sheet. I'm completely ignoring it. I only want to keep track of the income that comes through my bank. Then I would go about, let me just erase this quickly. In my categories, you can go and rename this, but I currently has it as income number 2, for example. So we'll just use income number 2 in here. And let's say this was, you labeled it as sales and I had a sale. I would just put this directly, categorize it directly to sales. This will skip the invoicing completely. However, if you are using the invoice system, all income that comes into your business and has been invoiced should go to customers. You should categorize it to customers. So you've already created the invoice in the database and the amounts are in there. And this is just a payment that this customer has made. You will categorize this to customers, exactly the same as in here. Okay, if I did not do this, I will just quickly show you how this shows up. So I'm just going to do this one as a minus for now, just to show you how it differentiates. So remember, this market invoice that I've made is already showing up as paid in here, and the customer, I've allocated to customers, and it's 1200 over here. So you will see our invoices will pull through the total amount. Let's just go to the database quickly. It will pull through the total amount of the entire invoices that we've made for March. So that is the total amount of that. And in customers, you will see a 350. Now, this 350 is, why is there a 350? Oh, wait, we've added the 100 in here as well. Okay, so this 350 is that one that's unpaid and that one that's unpaid. So let's just mark this one unpaid quickly as well. And that's what I mean with, if you are in a more advanced system of your business, stage of your business, and you need to keep better track of your customers than this, you should really look at something like QuickBooks or Sage 1, for example. So that's where the 350 is coming from. Now, let's say this 250 of Lavinia was actually paid in. She did pay it into the bank account and I've allocated it to customers. Now only that 100 is showing out here. This one is actually still showing outstanding. Okay. So that's how the customers and the invoices come into play. For example, if I added, let's say, a 500 Rand income, see, I needed to make this minus, that's a lot. 500 Rand income directly to my sales, it will still show up in my sales, but it will show up under this little bracket in here. It will not show up as invoices. Your invoices, if you're not using it, will just stay zero the whole time. Your customers also will just stay zero the whole time. So you're not keeping track of invoices, you're not keeping track of what customer paid what, you're keeping track on a different system for that. This is just to calculate your income that came through the bank or whatever system you are using. So that is how that will go in there. Okay. So, okay, so this little section you will see I left open spaces, and this is just to not interfere with my balance of my bank, which I'm thinking, I know it is pulling through, it's just zeros. Okay, so this one is, for example, the business credit card. That, let's say our business has a credit card and we bought it to buy 2 products for our little shop. Um, and those were the amounts that went off. So I need to enter those expenses into the business somehow. So the way I go about doing that is I entered it in here in my transaction log, but I allocate it to whatever it was bought. It was products that was needed for. You can even argue that ribbons is packaging, actually, depending on what you are doing. So that's a way to allocate those. And then I'm just going to delete this one. Okay? Then you will go and you will see what the total amount is that you actually spend on a credit card. And you will come, okay, to see that, you can just click down here. There's a little summary here. And we want to do minus 500 and allocate that towards the business card, the business credit card. Now, if you didn't do this, that will still show up in expenses, and that's perfectly fine. However, if you want your liabilities and your asset accounts to show up correctly, and this is where accountants normally come into play and they start helping people out with their business, because it becomes a little bit more complicated. Um, you kind of want it to either be pulled through to liabilities or assets, depending on the account. And this is just a way for it to pull through to the business credit card. Now it's showing up as 200 over here, purely for the reason we did make a payment in the middle of the month towards the business card. Like if I did not make this payment, the business card would be this 500 that was inserted here. You see what I mean? And now we've paid 300 towards the business card, the business credit card, and we still owe 200 of that purchase that we've already made on there. This is not taking into account interest. If you have a look at the liability sheet, I do take into account a little space for interest here. This is just an easy place to add interest into. Um, However, it does not show up on your monthly sheet like that. But you can have a look at your current balance in here, and it does calculate the total amount of interest paid towards different liabilities in the year. Okay, exactly the same thing was done over here, but this is in the case of cash transactions or personal transactions, even. Because I actually, for example, bought airtime in my personal bank for the business. It was not for me, it was purely for the business. So I want to allocate that to airtime. So I'm putting in the transactions to allocate it to airtime. Now, there's a little account called Members Loan. You can either call it Members Loan or you can call it Drawings. And again, this is if you know a little bit about accounts, then you will know exactly how to use this. You can just stop at that line and then you at least have the expense inside of your business. This is if you need your liabilities and your assets also to work correctly together. And this is where it starts getting a little bit more complicated. So I would take that amount out again and allocate it towards members loan. And this will show up then in members loan. Let's say, for example, I actually did not do this one. So this one's also allocated to members loan. So we only have this one that happened in members loan. Like we paid in our personal expense airtime for the business, so that will show up then in members loan. However, we accidentally made a personal purchase with our bank, our business bank, and it was a 300 rand. and we allocate that towards members loan because that's a personal expense. It has nothing to do with the business. um, it will actually show up here as a minus 150. So how it will work it out is it's that 300 that we owe the business minus the 115 that we've spent towards the business. The business owes us again, and it will like calculate the difference between that and then show up here. Now this account can either be an asset or a liability depending on where it is. I normally just include it in assets because it can swap throughout the year between the different two of them, and an accountant will immediately know what to do with this if you provide them the information like this. Okay, so that kind of explains the assets and the liabilities a bit better. And then I have the profit and the turnover amount. I have the two separate ones because depending on your tax structure, you'll either be paying tax on turnover tax, which is this one, turnover income, or you'll be paying your profit tax, which is this one, the profit at the end of the month. And you can also calculate, you see the amount at the end of the year. And then over here, the liabilities that was calculated, the interest that was paid toward liabilities are also coming into play here. So that will obviously be subtracted from your profit. And then you'll have your net profit amount for the year over here. So that's just a quick glance at how the template works more in detail. And how you can actually use it for your business. Like I said, you do not need to go this complicated. Maybe just start out by just starting to enter your bank and your cash transactions. Just do that and categorize them as best as you know how to do that. And you remember you need to go and customize your categories to what you need them to be. Maybe just start out that way and see where it goes. The next month you might want to do it differently, and as you go on you learn things, and your journey in your small business will learn your terminology, learn business language and all of that. We all start somewhere, and maybe this is a good empty, clean, easy starting spot for your small business. I do hope this helps somebody, and if you have any questions, you can just message me. Have a lovely day.